A little Gunks right here on the Tony Jones Show. Halfway to Hell, the name of that one of our favorite local bands and in-studio guests. Before that, we heard from Ravi, Shavi, Accidental Mental. You were tuned in to the Tony Jones Show, online at tonyjones.org, facebook.com/Tony Jones Show, and on Twitter at Tony Jones in RI. Of course, just keep in mind, if you're catching us live, I am on the social media sites throughout the broadcast, so if you have anything for us, comments, snide remarks, go ahead and hit me up at facebook.com/Tony Jones Show and on Twitter at Tony Jones in RI. George Garner's here. Crimson is here. And we talked a little rock and roll. We talked a little professional wrestling. So, of course, next, let's talk about the literary world.
Okay, you're really going to have to corral us here because otherwise the wrestling talk is going to go on.
So, Crimson, how did you get started with writing for Motif magazine?
That actually came surprisingly, baffles a lot of people. I actually went to college, and it was for journalism, of all things. And I was egged on by my high school English teacher because he goes, "You ask questions that get people very angry, so that's a good place for you." So I took a break out of the journalism world for a while, mostly because of the politics and journalism. And you write for who pays your check, not for the actual story. And and then Motif was reaching out, trying to find someone to write for some of the recaps of PRD, Providence Roller Derby bouts, and I said, I'll do it. And I started doing a few there. Then it kind of expanded, and I said, hey, I want to do this story. And they say, sure, yeah, go ahead. And I love that they're very open to any idea, especially with anything cultural in Rhode Island or in New England area that a lot of people don't know. They're always like, whoa, there is this? This is awesome. This is great. Yeah, absolutely. And it's nice to actually work for Motif versus other publications because I have absolute freedom to chase a story if I want to and just go about it however I like.
And as far as a cultural arts, technology, physical publication, they have become the last man standing, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, when the Phoenix went away, and then I started hearing Motif. We're going twice a month. I'm like, oh boy,
goal.
Double the schedule.
Actually, I was surprised to learn a few months ago that The Noise up in Boston, a publication that was very kind to me over the years, they've gone to no more tactile physical publications. They're going to be online only.
On the plus side, they put us on the cover before they did so.
Yeah, that's true. Are you noticing a different feedback from people that actually pick up the physical Motif magazine, which is more of a newspaper, and folks that read your pieces online?
Absolutely. Even with anything I publish online and send the link around, you get, oh, that was a great story. I always get people come up to me and saying, hey, I just read this in a copy of the Motif that they actually will pick up, and they'll see my picture and they'll recognize the name and go, oh, I didn't know you actually write in that. So yeah, there's a lot bigger, stronger reaction because they physically have something in their hands. And it kind of went to a discussion we had earlier about music and having something physical in your hands. It has a little bit more impact because it's something that you get attached to.
And it's kind of a different crowd too. I've noticed with some of the pieces I've had in 13 Folds and in Motif also. There's a weird mix of crowds who will only access online and will only access paper, and sometimes they don't cross mediums for some reason.
Well, I think at this point, most of us, except for the extreme radical, most of us will cross mediums. But I think most of us have a serious first and secondary.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think that's where most of us are now. I don't know anybody that won't read online or won't read print, really.
I think sometimes it comes down to the casual reader, too, who pick up a magazine or a paper and flip through it on the toilet or, at work or when they should be doing something better or working at a security gig or at a boring job, as opposed to people who actually go to seek out the content, depending on what the subject is. Yeah. But I think you're kind of in the same realm that I am, Crimson, where when I went to college for communications, it was like, this is going to be a great career path. And then it fell off, and a communications degree was just not even worth wiping your butt with. Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden with new media, the freelance gigs and the communication side, the journalism side of things, it's picking up again, and everybody's looking for good writers. Absolutely,
especially with more shows coming out, especially based around anything with books. Like I see Game of Thrones, how quick that blew up, and they were scrambling for some of their writers as well. yeah, a lot of people are now reaching out for something that actually has meaning to it again. And going back to what you're saying, how we kind of mix the mediums, we kind of lived through that generation where we just had print and then internet got introduced.
Yeah.
So instead of having grown up and being born in a newer age now where they have internet and that's all they know, we've actually had those multiple mediums for us, so we have those, we have that understanding. And I am very thankful to be able to be in those two different realms, because new technology every day.
Yeah, and I think the most important one is this explosion of bandwidth.
Yeah.
Two things. One is that the death of the printed page is greatly overstated. I mean, I think we even have a new generation now that's learning to hold a book in their hands. But I think it's the explosion of bandwidth that's created a ridiculous need for content.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that people are making money off it too, because
that helps.
The difference between a good freelance writer that's making a living doing something they love and a kid who's willing to write for 3 cents a word.
Well, I think the quality is starting to sort itself out. For the past decade or so, it was a situation where the internet had a reputation for, if you couldn't get published in print, then you wrote for the internet.
Yeah.
And it was a secondary thing. And it's kind of like self-publishing.
Yeah.
It had that same stigma about it. But now I think the quality, like the really bad stuff, the mediocre stuff is kind of dropping by the wayside for the most part. And the quality is rising to the top on the internet also.
Absolutely, and I've been utilizing the internet, especially something simple as hub pages to publish some of my short stories that have going on. I have the Vamp Noir series going on right now, and it's a great place just to kind of just something off to the side for you to build upon,
Right.
before. And then by the time I finish it and I've been released for free, I can actually just put it into a book if I want to now.
Right, that's exactly the approach I'm taking to it also. I mean,
It's almost like workshopping.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
I think I've told this story on the air before, but I've been involved with podcasting since it very first was a thing. And I remember uploading my first handful of podcasts with dial-up internet. When I tell you it was an all-day thing. And if for some godforsaken reason somebody else in the house picked up the phone, then you had to start all over again.
Yeah, there's some dark memories I have in my life. One of them is my mother dying. The other one is dealing with dial-up internet.
Oh, brutal.
That was, you almost started to say at some point that this whole internet thing isn't worth it.
Right.
That's how much it sucked.
People said this whole computer thing, it's never going to take off because it's too cumbersome. But what's going to be, not to get too far off, but what's going to be a game changer for us in internet radio is when all cars are internet hotspots or Wi-Fi hotspots, and now with bandwidth, they can just listen in their car to Rhode Island Free Radio or the Tony Jones Show or any other show, just like they would flip on the FM dial, and then it's gonna be bananas around here.
Yeah. Now the major auto producers are still denying it.
Yeah.
FM. That's they're denying it, but I don't know. Realistically, you're more in tune with, so to speak, with the phenomenon than some of us are. What's your prediction?
It's already starting.
It's
newer
already
cars,
started,
yeah.
but when
And Cumulus Media, which is, again, not to get too far off track, is one of the bigger brick and mortar radio conglomerates out there. Their stock is trading at 30 cents a share right now. So, and they have been categorically denying the need for new media. They're straight on ahead with the FM.
Well, yeah, that's the buggy whips.
Yeah,
The buggy
exactly.
whip company is going down, swinging and flailing, but they're going down.
It's always good to have a little bit of vintage, but you always have to move with the times with
Yeah.
technology. You always have to think ahead, so that way you get a head start, and not like anyone starting a podcast now. They're going to jump into it with a fan base beforehand, and they're going to be surrounded by everyone else doing a podcast around the world.
Yeah.
Because I listen to podcasts from Europe quite
Yeah.
often
Yep.
on different subjects. So but it's great we have that communication now. We can hear what everyone is discussing. It's creating the more of a two-way talk now between people. But again, if you're not ahead in time, you're going to get buried. Under
And I'll tell
everybody.
you, you're exactly right. It's all the big companies that are 30 cents a share now. It's their own fault.
Yeah.
I mean,
They've done it to themselves.
Yeah, they've had. They're the dinosaurs walking toward the tar pit, in spite of all the signs that say "Do not walk this way, tar ahead."
Yeah,
I mean, they had all that capital, they had all that head start. No excuse.
And like we just talked about with stuff falling by the wayside, it'll become a situation where content is king. and that's
Yeah.
also going to be an exciting time.
And like you said about, that's also happening.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen more and more and more. And there's going to be a demand for quality content.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's the thing.
Let's go down to some music. We'll come back because unfortunately we're running out of time, but we have a really big shoe, as Ed Sullivan would say, to talk about. It's going to be a big one at AS220 on January 2nd. But before that, speaking of breaking down borders, this band is from Glasgow, Scotland. They tune into the Tony Jones Show. They sent me some music, and here they are. It's the Maybes. This track, Set the Controls, right here on the Tony Jones Show.
I hear it's quite a few. Used to be a quasar for a DNR2. It's coming from the heart straight to you. Surfing on the magma, there's nothing else to do. Looking for the pole star, but I'm easily confused. It's coming from the heart straight to you. Listen to the sunset. Why is it so obscure? Used to be a gas cloud for a second or two. It's coming from the heart straight to you. Rolling on the lava, nothing else to do. Trying to take a picture, but I'm easily amused.